gave up. I want to try to wrangle cars. It's not a,
Okay.
you know how close I am to.
Well, I also figured she was gonna order pizza and stuff for the meeting, so I figured if I had a car that I could, lend to her, then she could be relatively independent for the afternoon until the meeting, which would be probably helpful for everyone.
Yeah, it makes sense.
If
I can help.
Okay. Sounds good, thanks.
Order. We do have a quorum. Phil is not here and has let us know he was not going to be here. So we are. First order of business is to accept the minutes of the July 6th regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
Moved by Lauren, second by Melissa. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Another great job by Carrie. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Visitor comments and petitions. There's nobody here in person. Is there anybody on the Zoom call who has a comment or petition? Hearing none. Next on the agenda is a ferry service update. There is no real update, but the Island Institute study on the ferry service is ongoing, and I believe there's going to be a sort of an initial meeting to put together some information next week. Nothing really to report. Sea level rise, Shay.
Our next committee meeting is tomorrow afternoon, evening, with the goal of completing kind of one of the steps for the community resilience partnership program. Probably at our next meeting for August 8th, I'm hoping I will have a draft of the resolution for us to review.
Sounds good. Any questions for Shay before we move on? Hearing none. Update on the municipal building project. Lauren.
Well, we had a review, we had a new design for the health center. So the committee reviewed that new design and voted to rescind the previous motion to approve the previous design and approve the new design. It's really much better. And that was unanimous. We have had all of our motions have been unanimous, which has been really nice. And we've had very few absentees. Twice, I think we've had people missing. So it's been a very active board. So all of the projects have been voted on and approved, and we're ready to present them to the select board on August 3rd. So it's great. And I think I gave a rough draft of the kind of outline of the presentation. I hope it's okay. It's going to take about 32 minutes, 30 plus minutes to run it all by the select board members. So
Is there anything we're going to get in advance to read and look over and think about before? Might be helpful.
yeah, I want to send all the designs and I can send the cost figures too.
That would be really helpful, I think, before, just in advance, so we have something, we're not just getting it for the first time.
We have some extra copies over there.
Oh, good.
We have a couple, but if anybody wants to take one now, it's easier to look at it on a piece of paper than
Yeah.
on the computer.
Any questions for Lauren before we move on? Hearing none. Upcoming meetings and subcommittee reports. The planning board is on July 25th. The harbor committee is on July 21st.
Which that may be different now. Is that correct, Carrie? Did
It
they-
is correct.
It is?
I mean, that it's correct that that has changed. And I don't have the date in front of me, but it's been moved to August for Harbor Committee.
Great. Harbor committee is postponed until August, so. Next is the town manager's report. Janet.
Okay, I have given you the slate of annual appointments this year. It's different. And you will get to it under new business, but you will just be signing that front page. And as we seem to do appointments year round, I think we may just type an actual appointment going forward for individual ones here and there instead of another slate, because it may only be one person. Used to be committees were done once a year. Now it seems like there's a rotating board. And I've also given you a list of the committee vacancies, which Tina will post. Let's see if anybody has any interest in that. I've given you, just as reminders, Lauren already mentioned about this town info meeting on August 8th, topics to be discussed. Think about that. Probably at the next meeting, we can come up with a list. You have a copy of a thank you note from Brindle Point Light Station Restoration Committee for supporting the restoration efforts. They're appreciative that the budget was approved for $53,000 for painting the tower, which I've heard from Mr. Leslie, and he hopes to be out early August to begin that. That's his hope right now. He realizes with the summer and the ferry, maybe it would turn into September, but it's imminent. And we have approved minutes from the June 16th Economic Sustainability Committee meeting and minutes from the June 7th Housing Committee meeting. More. And my other note to remind people, Steve Lucas will be out within 2 weeks, he thought, he can get Roundup crew to come out and stripe the roads.
When did you say?
Within the next 2 weeks. And when I hear from him, it's weather dependent. And again, everyone's struggling finding workers. He's doing this himself and he hasn't done it in a long time. So he thought by the end of July. That's all from me. Have any questions?
I have a question about sea level rise. It doesn't have Jennifer's name on there. I think she's still a member.
Yeah, I actually had a question about that too, because I thought we were a 9-member committee
Yeah, I thought I was.
and that you were on it as well.
Yeah.
So I can flag that as a question too.
Sea level, it says 7 members.
And there's 6 currently.
So there's 6. So I do have 1 vacancy. That would make it
Well,
7.
Jennifer's been on it and will still be on it.
Huh. I don't, is she secretary or is she a member?
Is she also secretary? She has been.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll add her.
Okay.
And I don't know about the 9, what you're,
I've been on it since the beginning, but I'm also a select board, so.
yeah, well, generally selectmen, there's usually 1 ex officio. I see Shay is down as the ex officio, so. 'Cause you can't vote.
Even as a member?
Dave can on the harbor committee, because that's in the ordinance, it states 1 selectman is on that committee.
I
But
just
generally-
attend and help.
I mean, generally select board do not vote here. It's kind of keeping it being impartial.
So that would be you on the housing too.
Okay. But Jennifer, that's weird, yeah, but I will add her.
I'm going to verify the number of committee members.
Yeah, I really thought it was.
Well, if you can find something that says 9, I mean, generally committees are 5 or 7.
You can just look back to the formation.
Yeah, well, that's why I have 7 members on here underneath that, so. But other people can certainly come, it's a public meeting. But
I think to the extent that you want 9 members, you can make that change.
you have 2
There's
more
currently
people.
6, so with
Currently
Jennifer,
6.
that would be 7.
She's 7, so then sea level would have 2, so you're looking for 2 more people on sea level, correct?
I think she was counting me and Jennifer making it 9, but I don't vote, so.
Right, and I was thinking that I was counting myself too, so I thought we had a full committee at 9, counting Lauren and myself.
Yeah.
So if we don't count Lauren and myself, then
We
we
got
are a
7,
full
we're
house
good
of
to go.
7.
But if you want me to post say there's 2 vacancies, you want to make it go up to 9, like Gabe said, if that's.
No, that's
Yeah,
okay.
so
We can,
whether-
we can keep it at 7 and, if we could make sure.
So I
that
don't
Jennifer
really
gets
have a
added.
vacancy, correct?
No,
Because I've left
correct.
off Jennifer. I can't blame Cindy.
It's just Jennifer, we have to add.
All right, yeah, I apologize for that.
No.
oversight. Maybe others.
Anything else before we move on? Please.
Didn't Mike say that we were gonna have the LB 2003 today? Because he had said that we just emailed that to everybody.
I don't know. But he was gonna go over that today.
Like who?
Nelson,
Nelson, he's chairing the house.
it must be next, it must be
Must be
Sunday,
the next meeting.
the August meeting.
Correspondence, 9. Old business, I think this is maybe the time to take up the information meeting, which is scheduled for August 8th. And there's a question about exactly what we want to have there. There's one definite right now, which is an update on the municipal building project. I don't think we're going to have a significant update for the ferry service. I think that the Island Institute's process is winding its way through, but at that point, there isn't going to be anything to report on, I don't believe.
Has anything happened in the past year that you might want to tell people? Anything big happen?
I mean, we can certainly reach out to John King and see if he wants to say a few words. I mean, we've had planning advisory board meetings and finance subcommittee meetings. So he may have something. he
I can
wants to
ask
add.
him.
Yeah, if you want to reach out to John.
Can't make it.
see.
What about the IESC? Interesting, or is that not?
Well, I mean, one question is how long do we want this meeting to go? And
I don't know how long if the presentation to the select board, which is an informed group, so it's not a new audience, it's about 30 minutes, then I think we're talking 45 minutes for our presentation to this.
has the potential to really need a lot of time.
Yeah.
If there are
there'll probably
questions
be a
and
lot of-
discussions.
yeah.
So I tend to think that the things that are not the municipal building project ought to be, at the very least, relatively fast updates and not large scale discussion topics. Just,
Maybe we could have a handout too, with like from
Yeah,
John King or other committees.
like we're checking with John King and perhaps checking with Roger Hyman to see if he thinks if there's an update he wants to give, either something to hand out or to say. Anything else that anybody wants to update on?
Shady, you want to do anything on the sea level rise, or is it too early?
I mean, I'd be happy to, but if you have, I mean, it's like you said, it's gonna be a very brief update, so if that would be more distracting from the main discussion, then I would be okay with foregoing it, but I'm also happy to spend, 5 minutes kind of saying where we stand right now.
So it could be that the main focus is on the municipal building project, and then there's handouts for other information.
Yeah, or perhaps a couple minutes that other people spend and then they're just going through a handout, so going through a handout, but the information is in a handout, and they can just say a few things, but I think that the municipal building project is going to be the bulk of that.
I think if you're talking about a 45-minute presentation, there's really not much, I think it'd be probably not very much appetite for adding more, even if we say it's gonna be brief, it would end up taking longer.
Yeah.
and Wanting to keep the time frame.
So should we do the municipal building project first and then the other pieces? Or do a little information updates and then spend the rest of the time on that? I'm kind of trying to keep in my head how we're going to do this, so I'm ready.
My preference would be brief updates on the front end.
Okay.
But I'm open to,
That makes sense to me.
Just watching the
So-
5 minutes.
Your time is up.
So to recap, we're gonna have the municipal building update as the focal point of this meeting, and then the other possibilities are going to be IESC and Roger Hyman, that's depending on whether there's anything you'd like to update on. There's Barry, and John King, there's sea level rise with Shay. I think we leave it at that, as those are the possibilities out there in the world, and perhaps we won't even have all of those. Does that sound right?
Well, that's good, because those are the 3 topics you keep on the agenda, like you update little by little. So if there's-
I guess we don't need to have a motion to that effect. Moving on. New business, approved annual slate of town committee members. We've already had one correction. It's hard. Not knowing off the top of my head all of the members.
And so what you're doing, basically, the ones in blue, shaded blue, are the committee members that are being reappointed this year. There are most of them are annual appointments. And some committees, they're staggered, like the library or Board of Appeals, cemetery. Some have 3-year terms, but most of them you see are annual.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the slate of town committee? So moved. I should say, subject to the change we've already discussed. Moved by Lauren, second by Melissa. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Next on the agenda is to sign the annual policy on treasurer's disbursement, payroll warrants. Primary purpose of which is to decide who can sign.
Yeah, and I did speak with Phil. He's willing to stay on there. He and Lauren were the 2 that were on there.
Which one is that?
That's the payroll.
Oh, right,
You know, where you all, either one of you, if you're both here, you might sign it, but
Well, I think that both Phil and Lauren are doing a wonderful job on the payroll ones, and I would,
I'm pretty sure Phil wants to stay on it.
yeah.
yeah. He liked it.
And I think that we ought to keep them, and since Phil is represented, he wants to continue, I don't see any reason to depart from something that's already working so well.
Exactly.
It's in my.
You've never
it's been
missed.
hard.
Are,
If he didn't want it, he should have been here.
let me see, got- Current municipal officers. So we have any one of the municipal officers named above acting alone may review, approve, and sign, right?
Mhm.
That's what I thought. All right, well, I would entertain a motion to approve Phil and Lauren as the municipal officers designated to be able to sign payroll warrants.
So,
Moved by Melissa, second by Shay. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
you're welcome.
There
Thank
go.
you.
Yes. Other business, no other business. Next on the agenda is to approve warrant number 26 for last year and warrant number 2 for this year, this fiscal year 23.
So moved.
Moved by Shay,
Second.
second by Melissa. Is there any discussion about the warrants? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Warrants are approved. There is nothing else on the agenda. Chair comments, no comments. It's been very hot lately. Nice and cool lately. That's all I've got. Vice chair comments, Shay. No comments. Melissa,
Nothing.
no comments. Lauren gets the last word.
No comment.
No comments. I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
second, aye. Thanks, everybody.
You didn't let anybody have a chance.
To vote against. the
Further
motion to adjourn.
further business.
What? There was other business and new business and
We have a lot of business
there's
today.
a lot of
Plenty
business.
of business.
I think there was an opportunity.